Hello boys and girls, welcome to another episode on our YouTube channel. My name is Craig, I'll be your host in this vlog where I discuss and rate a craft beer that you'll find in the South African market, as well as attempt to repair some electronic consumer good that you might find in a typical South African home. On today's review we have this Brewers&Union Steph Weiss style 10A that I'm going to rate it against the BJCP style guidelines. Definitely, it's one of my favorite beers. It's changed a few times over the years as they've gone on and made some subtle alterations to the recipe. Let's see how it stands up and let's see if it's still the same. On the bench today we have a friend of mine who bought me a LG Flatron monitor. Today's repair is more of a repair in aid of mankind. Typically if something breaks around the house and the poor husband gets to fix it, and his wife is and let's just say on his case about this. Let's get his wife off his back and let's bring this monitor back to life. I'm going to get the bench set up, the beer poured, and we'll see you in the next shot. And so on the bench we have our Flatron L1919S monitor, and we have our beer poured. Rachel's husband tells me, Rachel's a colleague and a friend of mine, Rachel's husband Ben tells me that this monitor is completely dead, so we're not going to waste any time. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and we'll set the bench up, and then we'll come back when everything is open and we can actually see what is going on inside this thing. Right, we'll see you on the flip side. So right, here we are on the bench. We've opened Rachel and Ben's monitor. We haven't put voltage on yet. We'll do that together. What you'll notice is I've got a nice big black clamp on here because this chassis is earthed to, well, reference to main earth, which is your power coming in here. But before we even put power on, before we have to actually do anything, if you see that capacitor down there, it's bulged. You can see a little bit of the electrolyte has come out. So before we even actually go anywhere, I suspect the problem with Rachel's monitor is this capacitor here, that one there that's bulged. You can see it's even flimsy. And that one that's bulged, there's our problem. We don't actually have to think much harder than that. The brand of capacitor, some Chinglish stuff I've never heard of. SU, SCON, 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 never heard of it. Don't think it's actually a very good brand of capacitor. Yeah, you can see a bit of a blackening here on the board. That's obviously from heat. Not much to this power supply. Switch mode. Yeah. Maybe we should actually put some voltage on, and just as a matter of interest, just measure the voltages down here, the voltages that go to the control boards and whatever. Up here, these are just connectors that go to the screen side of it. So I've just disconnected that. Yeah, really not much to it. All this is your processing and all those things that go on in the electronics. But like I say, visual, it's a dead giveaway. You've got problems with these capacitors. No name brands. What we should probably do is replace all the capacitors in this board. Let's see if I've got stock, and we'll take it from there. Okay, just to show you, like I said, this is earth referenced. The chassis is earthed, which is great. I've put voltage on here. My multimeter is set to measure volts AC. Now, very important, I'm only using one hand. You're playing around here, keep one hand in your pocket and measure with the other one. So I'm just going to measure on that side of the fuse. You can see we've got our 240 volt AC. And if I measured on the other side of the fuse, we have the same thing, 240 volts. Measure with one hand. I'm just going to move the camera around and show you the problem that these capacitors have caused, these ones that are bulged, and then you can see on our meter what's going on. Okay, I've rearranged it. Obviously this is our power out connected to our little controller board, and it's got some markings. I don't think you can see it very well, but I can. It starts off with a 12 volt, ground, different voltages, 5 volts, whatever. So I'm just going to measure on DC voltage, the 12 volt line, and we can see we're down to 2.9 volts, and that's supposed to be 12 volts, and it's move over one and we go to its partner, 2.9 volts. So these capacitors have given up the ghost. Let's see if I've got some in my parts bin, and we can replace them and see what else is wrong with this board. Well, let me go have a look. Okay, so we've managed to find some suitable replacement capacitors for this board. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to desolder the old capacitors that are shut, and we're going to quickly replace them. And as you can see, our capacitors, the cap is intact, it's not bulged or anything funny like that. How I desolder these things is I take my soldering iron, I heat up that leg. I'm going to try and show you this, and I use a solder sucker, a cheap piece of caulk that I have. So basically I'm just trying to heat up that old solder to get it to flow, and then put my solder sucker over it and suck it out like that. It's a bit difficult to do behind camera, so I'm just going to quickly desolder them all, and then we'll come back to this board. Okay, the capacitors are out. I just want to show you something with this LCR meter that I have. I'm not going to set it up for anything funny. I'm just going to leave it at the default settings. Normally we would test capacitors at certain frequencies. It would give us the equivalent series resistance, and it will give us the capacitance of the capacitor. So the capacitor that we took out was a 1000 microfarad 25 volt rated capacitor. I'm going to just show you that it is really buggered. So I'm going to measure across it, and what you can see at 1 kilohertz, it's actually got 48.74 microfarad. So this capacitor is definitely shot. I'm going to measure a good one to give you an idea. There we can see we got 867 microfarad. That's quite alright, because the capacitors have a tolerance. It could be at 15%, at 20%, whatever. So that's well within spec. I'm happy with the new capacitors. So I'm going to get the board back. We're going to put the new capacitors in, and we'll see where we are from there. Okay, I've put in the new capacitors. You can see the lead sticking out. So let's see if we can solder this under the camera. It shouldn't be too difficult. It's difficult to desolder with a horrible old solder pump that I've got, but this should be fine. It's a straightforward through-hole soldering. Pretty easy. One side we apply heat, the other side we apply solder, let it flow, and take the iron away. Really not much to it. Let it flow, take the iron away. This one. Okay, perfect. Clean iron. Tin it. Back in its holster. Okay. I'm just going to cut off the leads, put it back in its casing, and we'll put power on the board again and see what we see. Okay guys, I've put the board back in and reconnected it. Here on the right, I'm not sure if you can see, I've got my multimeter negative or common clamp to the chassis, which is earth reference. So I'm just going to measure those 2 points we measured early on. You can actually see if we measure the first one. Now we've got 16 volts, far cry from our 3 volts that we had early on. And the next point we should have the same. Obviously the 16 volts is a lot higher than the 12 volt because this board is not being loaded yet. So I'm pretty happy we've repaired what's wrong here. I'm going to put the monitor together again and show you that it works now. And I think I actually deserve a sip of beer now. I've been a bit slow on the LG here. Like I said early on, that's German wheat beer, style 10A, Weissbier. Style guideline, overall impression of it. Pale, refreshing German wheat beer with high carbonation, dry finish, fluffy mouthfeel, and a distinctive banana clove yeast character. I definitely get the high carbonation. It's quite refreshingly carbonated. Not so much a dry finish for me. I definitely get that clove taste, and it mingles very nicely with the banana taste, with the banana appearance. It's not overpoweringly banana. Very, very subtle. Very nice. But anyway, let me get the monitor back together and we can see that, and we can finish up with this video. And there we have it, boys and girls. Ben can rest easy and get Rachel off his back. The LG Flatron L1919S has been restored and saved from the rubbish dump. It's quite eye-opener what these stupid little capacitors can do to you, but yeah, this can ruin your day. So when you're having a look at electronic repair, always be on the lookout for the visual inspection and see what is visually not right. Sometimes it's actually, it's eye glaring, it's right there. Our beer for the day, the Brewers&Union Steph Weiss. As we can see on the screen, it's a German, well, by the label, it's a German wheat beer. On the label, don't give us much information. They just say it's a craft Weissbier, craft brewed in Bavaria, 5% alcohol, a true traditional unfiltered Bavarian Weiss with a twist. My impression of the beer, I quite like it. I am a big fan of these guys. There's been some arguments somewhere long ago that they're not craft, or they're not this, or they're not that. That may be what it is. I think if you look at the American definition of craft beer, you probably find that they are craft beer. So, you know, the Americans, they just up the game, up the brewing volume to suit themselves. Pale, refreshing, high carbonation, fluffy mouthfeel. It's pale, I'll give it that. It's definitely refreshing. Carbonation, I would give it high. It doesn't have a fluffy mouthfeel to me, and it's it has the definite clove phenolic. You can taste it. It's there, and it has the banana ester. Now, ester is the aroma that appears like a taste, and the phenolic is the taste that appears as aroma. Phenolic is usually both, though. I do get that banana ester out of it. It's very, very subtle. I like that. It's not a banana milkshake, which you really don't want with this beer. And the clove is so subtle. It's just there. It's not overpowering. It's not trying to drive you into the ground. Hop character, no. I know at one stage these guys went through a thing where they were using a lot of late hopping to bring out like a cascade type aroma in it. Thankfully that's gone now. The beer has gone back to its original sort of form, and that's nice because there's no hop to steal away the aroma of the wheat malt. Very, yeah, that's good. I don't get really much things like vanilla or whatever. Appearance, thick, moussey, long-lasting white head characteristic. I wouldn't say it's thick and moussey, and again, I don't think it's long-lasting, but it doesn't die. It leaves that lacing in your glass, which is important. It shows you that the beer glass is clean and that they've got the right amount of proteins and stuff in it. Spritzy finish, yes, I think it's got a spritzy finish. You get a couple of varieties on this. You get a crystal version of it, which is a cleared wheat or vice beer. I enjoy both. The big thing with this beer is it's the brewer's technique that brings that cloudiness to the beer. It's not so much the yeast that they leave behind in it sometimes to cloud it over. It's the brewer's technique that makes that shine. I prefer the cloudier version. You get more flavors in it, and it imparts a lot more to the beer, a lot more character. I just want to scroll down here a little bit. So we're going to look at the vital statistics. IBUs 8 to 15, bitterness 8 to 15. I would definitely say they're fitting in the bitterness. There's very moderate, little moderate bitterness going on here. I quite enjoy that. They say the ABV 4.3 to 5.64. They're smack bang in the middle there. Original gravity 1052 or 1044 to 1052, and final gravity 1010 to 1014. I'm gonna guess these guys are sitting on a final gravity of about 1013, 1012, 1013. Yeah, it's got quite a bit of mouthfeel. Yeah, I quite like it. Commercial example, if you can get it in South Africa, and you can, I would definitely look at the Erdinger Weissbier, or the Paulaner Hefeweizen. Quite a nice, quite nice beers if you can get on. I think and Union is holding their own here. I don't foresee them being an inferior beer to any of those. The thing that I must stress with a wheat beer, a lot of times people will say it must have this banana flavor, it must have this clove aroma, and it must have this and that and this and that. The thing that brewers do to get that clove ester is we do a phenolic rest, and that creates acidity in the malting process in the mash. It almost sours the beer, and that's what's giving it to you. The other thing with the banana ester is a lot of that is coming from the yeast, and it's normally derived when you ferment the beer at a very low temperature. The thing with beer judges, especially when they are on a national level higher, is these guys and girls can smell a banana plantation on a different continent. So subtle is better. Not I don't have the best palate in the world, and I don't have the best nose in the world, but if I'm getting it as subtle, I think maybe a national beer judge or something like that might get it as more moderate. So less is more, and I think these guys have done it very, very well. To rate the beer, on the style guideline, I'm going to give these guys a 3.9 out of 5. The letdown to me is really the head, and I'm not getting enough of that wheat malt flavor taste coming through, and I expected a bit more warmth. That wheat malt brings that warmth, and it really makes it wonderful. Really, it is a stunning beer. I think you cannot go wrong with it. The guys at Union are fantastic on social media. Definitely get your hands on this. It will go well around a Sunday braai. You'd really like it. My drinkability, I'm a bit biased here because this is one of my favorite styles of beer, and I could probably sit and drink this thing the whole day. I'm going to give them 4.2 out of 5. It's just one of those beers. It doesn't make you feel heavy. It doesn't bloat you or anything like that. It's really, really well done. I really like that. So definitely well done to the guys at Union. I monitored today LG Flatron. Simple repair. I'm sorry it wasn't more exciting. Unfortunately, a lot of repair work in electronics is really this simple. It's not all fireworks and sparks and stuff. I mean, if you like that, then you should go watch a guy called Electrickery, fantastic engineer in Canada. Really, he knows what he's doing, and he makes the learning fun. I can't recommend that more. If you're more technical and you're an engineer or advanced hobbyist or something like that, and you really like the teardowns and the theory, then watch Dave in the States, EV blog. If you're into ham radio and you really are pedantic, and you're into the radio side of it, Peter from TRX Bench in Germany. And if you're really old-fashioned and into the valve stuff and all those things, Paul from Mr. Carlson's lab in Canada, all great tutors. My thing is not to be like any of them, is to be different from them, but they're all fantastic and have a lot of great advice and things you can learn from. Like I say again, I'm sorry today's repair was so simple and easy. I didn't know what we were going to walk into. Luckily for me, it was a quick 2-minute repair. Well, a little bit longer than that, say 10 minutes to strip it down, 2 minutes to repair it, and yeah. But if you like what you saw and you like what you're learning or what's going on, please give us a thumbs up. If not, give us a thumbs down. Works both ways. If you want to see more of these types of videos, please hit the subscribe and the bell notification below. Just make sure when you hit the bell notification you choose the option that you always get the notifications. And today I didn't work alone. I did work under supervision. I didn't show the QC engineers because it's one of those autumn days where we have a nice bit of sunshine and they are enjoying the most of it, so they are out and about on the balcony and in the garden and playing around and just soaking it up. Anyway, we'll catch you next time. Get yourself a step advice from Union. If you're not following them on Twitter, please do. If you're not following them on Facebook, please do. Cheers.